You guys know us, Jojo and Chris. Why don't you guys give a brief intro for people who don't know you, like on the Chain of State DAO side of things? I know people are going to recognize you, Zach, but just like a brief intro into who you guys are, what you guys are about.
Yeah, definitely. So Chain of State DAO is a project that aims to provide people a way to earn passive income on the blockchain through physical real estate. And the way we do that is we have a transaction fee on all of our token transactions, buys and sells, 5% fee. And 3% out of that 5% goes to a pool of funds used to purchase real estate for the DAO. And then once we start acquiring properties, there will be 100 NFTs minted in association with each of these properties. And each one of those NFTs, because there's a 100 of them, will represent a 1% stake, 1% claim to the cash flow from renting out these properties each month. So you can think of it like Fundrise on the blockchain. If you're not familiar with Fundrise, it's just an organization that allows people to fractionally invest in real estate. So that's really what we are, is fractional investment in real estate on the blockchain. And we also have a lot of other utilities to our token as well. So our Chain of State token is used to purchase these NFTs for the properties once we acquire them. But also there are airdrops. We have an NFT marketplace that we already have some NFTs being sold on, and we can talk more about that later as well. But there's a lot of different parts to this project that will bring us success aside from just the actual property NFTs. So all that utility we're shooting for, and yeah, it's been good to see the project grow. We have a really great community behind us, so we're just growing that right now and seeing where it'll take us.
Just the beginning of a long road. I do really love, like, as you guys both know, like I love Chain of State and everything it's kind of moving towards. Real quick though, can I have each of you guys, whoever is there, introduce themselves and kind of, what role you fill in the project?
Yeah, I am Zach. Many of you guys have heard from me before, so it's nice to see you all here again. I'm more on the community management side of things. I also run the Twitter along with a lot of the different networking opportunities that we do as well. We also have Ian, who does a lot of real estate connections and networking in that area as well, but he's not here tonight, unfortunately. But yes, I know it's not just Cole and I. Then I also run the Cardinal House server with Jojo and Chris. So our goal there too is to kind of cultivate an audience to grow and introduce innovative projects to an audience, and then through that, people will hopefully get to know me on a deeper level and have a closer connection, and then that way, people will have kind of this higher trust and respect for the Chain of State DAO team that we're passionate about growing the DeFi space as a whole versus just our own little real estate sector that we've kind of have in the project. So we're branching out in that sense, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. So Cole, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Cole. I'm the lead and really only developer for Chain of State DAO, Web3 developer. So I'm responsible for creating our website, our DApp, our smart contracts. So the contracts for the token, the airdrops, the token claim for the V2 migration we did, the polling contracts for the DAO, all of that. And then I help out with Cardinal House as well, with some educational videos on our YouTube channel once in a while when I'm not busy with the development of Chain of State. I'm pretty busy with that, but I like to help out with Cardinal House when I can and be a part of the team in that way.
Yeah, we know it. Do you guys have anyone else there that you want to like introduce or talk about, just kind of behind the scenes at Chain of State?
Yeah, definitely. We also have Sydney, our graphic designer. She's made all of the art for the website, for the NFTs, a lot of the ads that we've done as well. We've had the community help with some of the ads, like especially when they're animated, but everything besides that she has created. Also our token logo, the Chain of State DAO token logo as well.
Awesome. That's good to hear. All right, so kind of going back real quick, so away from, your individual roles and all that stuff, I want to take it back into something you already touched up on, Cole, but the explanation of what Chain of State DAO is and how it works, but a little bit slower so that anyone coming in new can kind of get a grasp. And then we'll go into some more advanced stuff just so that we're starting fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's see, where do we even start? I guess to make it break it down a little bit more and to explain it better. When we first launched on February 22nd, it was the launch of our chain of state token. Now, the token is not what allows people to have a stake in real estate. The token is just the base of our project, the foundation that will be used for actually purchasing the NFTs we will mint for these properties when we acquire them. But also, it's the way that we raise the funds for these properties. So you can think of the token as the foundation of our project, and then the NFTs, like the real estate part of it, as where we're getting to, and ultimately where people will earn the passive income. So while a lot of projects like node projects, for example, they incentivize investors through the yield of these nodes, like there's a certain APY they get from the nodes. We're different because we're essentially giving out this APY through real estate instead of through a node. And the advantage of this is that it's sustainable, because with node projects, you're just constantly diluting the market as you're minting these tokens as rewards for these node holders. But with real estate, the income is coming from these people that are renting out the home. So the way it'll work, if you think of like the end-to-end cycle of chain of state DAO, is we have these tokens, the chain of state tokens, people are trading and buying and selling them. That transaction fee over time accumulates in this pool that we use eventually to purchase the real estate. Once we do, we mint those 100 NFTs. And then somebody will go on our NFT marketplace on our DApp, on our website, chainofstate.finance. They'll purchase this NFT with chain of state tokens, and then they'll have a claim to 1% of the cash flow from renting out the property. And so then we, as the chain of state DAO core team, at least initially, will be responsible for finding people that rent these properties to. And so they'll pay their monthly rent just like they would to any landlord or whatever you want to call it. And then we automatically have a program we feed this into that will distribute these funds to the NFT holders. And so it's very sustainable because that money is, we're not just diluting the market.
Mm-hmm. There's an actual event, an actual service taking place.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not minting new tokens. The money that comes in from the renters is going to be used to actually purchase the chain of state token. And then the chain of state token is then distributed to the NFT holder. So you're rewarded back in chain of state tokens when you hold one of these property NFTs.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
For all you listening, you might be wondering how the real estate fund is created. Can you talk about the tax a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So in the token smart contract that we have deployed on the Binance Smart Chain, this is a Binance project, by the way, so it's important to note. In our contract there, we take a 5% fee from all transactions, buys and sells. And so 3% of that 5% is it goes towards that real estate pool that I mentioned that's used to actually purchase real estate for the DAO. And then another 1% of that is used for marketing. And then the last 1% out of that total 5% transaction fee, it goes to the developers. And one thing that I wanted to mention, this model is really beneficial to the investors because we purchase the properties with these transaction fees, which means we don't have to raise money for these properties through the NFT sales. So if we want to purchase a property that's, let's say, $200,000, we don't have to sell those 100 NFTs for $200,000 because we're getting the money for the property through these fees, not through the NFT sales. So it allows us to be creative with the way that we price these NFTs and what we do with the tokens we get from people purchasing those NFTs, those property NFTs. So what we do, or what we're going to do, is we're going to price the NFTs in a way where investors will get a 25% return on investment. So they'll purchase this property NFT, and then within 4 years, they'll get the price of the NFT back through the money they get through the cash flow from renting out the property. And that doesn't include a lot of factors that would make it even better, such as rent going up, the home value going up, and any kind of renovations that might happen that would make the home better, or the fact that you can sell the NFT on the secondary market, so you might be able to sell it for more. So overall, the NFTs have a lot of value. And then for sure, after that 4-year mark, everything after that is just profit, because at that point, that 25% ROI has made it so you've made your money back already.
So, real quick, and this is going into something a little bit different, but a quick question I just thought of. So you just said that you could move it into a secondary secondary marketplace. Do you have the plan, or is it in the works kind of to get the NFTs into an actual wallet? Because right now you have your own, like it's registered to your wallet, but only on your site, correct?
Yeah, so the plan is for these NFTs to stay within our ecosystem.
Okay.
So you'll buy it on our marketplace and you'll sell it on our marketplace.
Okay.
That functionality is already there to sell the NFTs that you purchase to other people, other investors on our ChainOfState.finance marketplace on our DApp.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then as far as, so you talked about the 5% fee, correct, on both the buying and the selling end. And did you talk about what is allotted, where that 5% is going?
Yeah, the 3% to the real estate fund, 1% to marketing, and then 1% to the team.
Okay. And then recently everything kind of switched over when you guys did get listed on CoinTiger, correct?
Yeah. So CoinTiger listing was an interesting experience for us. So unfortunately, we were in talks with them before we were getting listed, and they said, sure, we can account for that 5% tax on each buy and sell. So we said, awesome, that's great. You know, Bitmart, for example, they listed SafeMoon a while back, and that was kind of like the first exchange that could account for, you know, anything DeFi related, like a transaction tax on each buy or sell. And under that assumption, like, you know, other exchanges can do it too, of course, and they said that they could. And then we get listed, everything's great, and then we realize, or we look at the real estate pool, and it's like, oh, this isn't filling up according to the volume that CoinTiger is getting. What's going on there? So we reach out to them, and they say, oh yeah, we actually don't have that capability. And then they're keep in mind, these guys are like a pretty well known exchange. They have a ton of different tokens on them. And then they're like, oh yeah, never mind, we don't actually have that feature, and that kind of sucks. However, we do get the fees from transfers in and out of their wallet. So if somebody buys on CoinTiger, they can't actually participate in our ecosystem unless they were to transfer it to a decentralized wallet like a MetaMask, and then say buy our NFTs if they want to buy a cash flowing producing NFT. So if they actually want to participate, it's not like the people that did buy on the decentralized exchange PancakeSwap. It's not like they're at a disadvantage because they didn't buy on CoinTiger. So there's that. But yeah, the CoinTiger was a really unfortunate situation, but overall, it still benefits the project because we have some, you know, the real estate pool build up from that. But overall, it's like we're really disappointed with CoinTiger, and I couldn't recommend them any less.
Gotcha. Yeah, that has to be tough, kind of with the expectations versus what they actually kind of went out and did.
They just blatantly said, yeah, we could do it, and then I guess.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Jojo?
Going on from the CoinTiger listing, is there anything you guys are gonna do to combat the tough, I guess it's not a loss, but the unfortunate situation? Is there anything you're gonna do to get more people invested in the project, or how are you gonna market it now that the CoinTiger thing kind of fell through?
Yeah. So the goal with CoinTiger is obviously getting listed on a central exchange. There's a lot of volume that comes into that. And with the volume, the real estate pool fills up faster so we can get to that first property faster, right? Well, now that is the case, and you know, the real estate pool isn't going to be filling up quite as fast as what it would have been thought to have filled up at the pace of that. That makes sense what I'm trying to say.
It's going to be slower.
Right. So we're thinking of changing up the model a little bit for at least a property or two, or maybe three, but we'll see how it goes with the first one, and then kind of it from there. But with this new model,
yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, it would look like, let's say we have a property for $100,000, just for really simple math. We would sell those 100 NFTs for $1,000 each, all while we have the property under contract for 30 days so we can acquire those fundings within those 30 days. And then after those NFTs are sold, we go and purchase the actual property, and then we rent it out, get a tenant in there, and start distributing the cash flow to the holders.
Okay.
Now, both pros and cons to this model, of course. The biggest pro is that if we sell all of the NFTs and we get the property, then we just got our first property that is absolutely massive. We can use that in our marketing campaigns. Like, that is a massive achievement to market, and like just our marketing campaigns overall will be much more effective and have a higher conversion rate. And then also that model is so much more scalable because it doesn't rely on the transaction volume of the token before we're able to start acquiring more properties. It's more just like, well, here we got this another property under contract. Here's the NFTs, sell them, done. And it's just more scalable that way. The downside is that because of us selling them at the price of the property or in correlation with that, the cash flow would be significantly less in terms of a percentage ROI on your NFT versus the model that's laid out in the white paper.
And
so with this, we would target an 8 to 12% ROI, probably closer to an 8%, just because the higher return on investment is just really hard to find, especially in this real estate market where things are flying off the market in a day or less than that even. 8% per year just on a cash return is still very doable, and it would be kind of the benchmark that we'd look for. Anything above that obviously would be great, but
Zach,
there's
can I
other things to consider too. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask you a question. So the current model that you guys have, is it possible that you could change to the newer model for the first couple properties and then change back?
Yeah, that is the plan, actually. We really appreciate the first model, what we actually have laid out in our white paper, what I was describing initially, because that allows our investors to get a higher return on investment. So we definitely want to go back to that when possible. The goal right now with this new model is just to get our feet off the ground faster, to get our first property a lot faster than if we rely on getting that volume to build up that real estate pool through the transaction fees.
So would there be any incentive for people to, be the first to participate in the first couple houses versus waiting until like other, do you know what I'm saying? Waiting until a more opportune moment kind of comes through.
Right. Waiting until you can get the 25%.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we're still thinking of ways like that. This is kind of a bare bones model, I guess. Like we haven't ironed out all of the details yet, and that's one of the we are doing different, looking into different ways to kind of compensate those people that purchase the model NFTs. Because you're right, it would be totally unfair for somebody to get an NFT that gives them 8% instead of 25% in our white paper. So actually, D Fulcher, he's in the audience right now. He's been proposing different solutions to that issue, and we really do appreciate the thoughts that you've put into it. And a couple of his thoughts would be taking part of the tax that the real estate pool would get and kind of backlogging it into the people that purchased the first NFTs. That's one option we could do. That I think that would kind of stunt our growth going forward if we do that. It's something to consider, but that's just one option. Another option that somebody brought up was actually flipping a property and then giving those profits from the flip to those NFT holders. Another option that could work out really well, but on the flip side, if we're essentially going into debt with the community, if they are kind of purchasing something, lending us their money and expecting something back, it's in debt with the community. And if we are going into debt with the community and we're responsible for a profitable flip, and say that flip goes south,
Mm-hmm.
Professionals don't even make a profit on a flip every single time. So that would be not something that I would personally want to be liable for, is screwing something up that bad. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of
we're still
risk.
looking at the different options. There's a lot to consider, and we'll definitely come up with something soon that is fair for everybody. But yeah, those are the thoughts on that new model for now.
Gotcha, for sure. It's definitely something that needs some time to be hashed out and all that stuff. But
Yeah,
I do like the idea of the new model. It does still, I think, provide a lot of benefit, considering you're not getting 25% ROI, which in real estate is unheard of. Which it will probably be more than 8%, I would say. Like, I would assume, just because of house values going up. After the first couple of years, it'll probably slowly increase more to that 12 range. But like, even with that, having to pay for 100th of the cost of the property, right? You're still being able to invest into real estate, which is one of those one of the longest standing investments, without that big loss. So you're able to invest into that real estate not without the big loss, without that big purchasing price. So you don't have to invest the full 100,000. Most people don't have 100,000 in their pocket to, invest. You get to avoid having to take loans. So you do get that benefit of not having to pay back with interest. And then you're also going to be able to invest it into real estate now versus 2-3 years from now. So there are a lot of really, really important pieces that I'd still say you're still getting a lot of benefit out of it.
Right, definitely. And 8% in the crypto space might not seem like a lot, but in real estate, good. And the fact that it's sustainable is what's really important. Like, and when you invest in a node project and it's 1% a day, it's not 1% a day for even a year, most of them. But for real estate, it can be 8% a year for as long as the project is in existence. And because we don't have to worry about our market being diluted, we could be in existence for a very long time. That's what we plan on.
Yeah, I love it.
I really like this idea, but going off of this, you guys mentioned that using the first house you buy, you would hope it would bring in a lot of new eyes and be able to use it in the marketing plans. How would that look using the new, like once you purchase a house, how would it look to use that in marketing? Like, how would you guys go about that to propel the project forward into tons of new holders?
Yeah, there's a couple ways that are really good to look at. So the first one is just the proof of concept. Like a lot of people don't really want to invest in a project that's just promising something versus that actually has something. So there's that, and rightfully so. I mean, obviously it's a lot more speculative if you're investing in some project that's just promising something, but on the flip side, there's a higher return for a higher amount of risk, right? And a lot of people, once they see that proof of concept, will be like, okay, I can get behind this idea. It's a good idea, revolutionizing the real estate space, making it more accessible for everybody. That's something I can get behind and going places. So once that proof of concept is there, I think that's one thing that a lot of investors will look for. The other thing is we can have all of our properties listed on our website, saying like, this is what the DAO owns, and this is how much it's worth. This is how much the NFT holders are getting. And it's just like that much cooler to look on our website to see like, oh, these guys actually own that property. So that's one aspect. The other aspect would be actually marketing something that already has that proof of concept down, kind of like what I said, but just more of like in a paid ad sense. Like your ads are going to be higher converting if you already have a product out there versus if you, like I said, if it's just a promise. So those are the couple of ways that having the first property will be very beneficial in the marketing standpoint.
And kind of moving forward with that, I really like that explanation. Kind of moving forward on top of that, what are your guys' kind of methods of spreading the word? So I know you guys have used Twitter ads, correct? You guys have used a variety of different things, but what avenues would you be able to kind of expand for? Is there something you're like, okay, once we get to this point, we can now increase on the way we're kind of, or improve on the way that we're running ads? Or like getting into sponsored ads with, individuals, people with influence and things like that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Twitter ads, we did see a pretty good conversion rate for our pre-launch ads, and I think that is one way that we'll definitely focus more on.
Mm-hmm.
Also branch out to things like Facebook ads, and then also doing YouTube videos, like sponsored YouTube videos, or at least paying somebody to review our project and saying like, oh hey, these guys actually have a property that's not anything like any other project I've seen
Mm-hmm.
before, and doing things like that, like influencers on TikTok too. Even little things here and there really add up. More AMAs with other groups, more just like this group too. And there's so many different ways to market, especially with paid advertising. There's
Mm-hmm.
streamlined services now where you can just plug in your budget that you want, and then there you go. If it's not overly complicated
Mm-hmm.
with Twitter and Facebook ads, and it makes
Okay.
things really easy. So
Gotcha. I think that ads to the general public are going to be a hit with Chain of State, just because it is that middle ground between taking innovation from crypto and bringing it back into, one of the oldest standing investments, but also I'd say one of the more backwards ones as far as the technology behind it goes.
yeah, another thing to add too is that we partner with Ember, so they
Mhm.
are a payment gateway that allows you to purchase our token directly on our website. Right now, it's just connected to PancakeSwap, so you're just purchasing through PancakeSwap when you buy it. But they have a fiat option, so like you can convert your US dollars directly into our token. It's currently in beta right now, and they won't be releasing it for, I believe they said, a month or two. But once that is released and you can buy tokens directly on our website, that is going to be absolutely massive, because that will allow us to market towards people that aren't into crypto but still
Mhm.
state, which happens to be a massive amount of people.
Yes.
So our marketing outreach is going to be increasing substantially once that
Mhm.
payments ready, and that's something that we're super excited for. And once that does happen, we're going to be hitting those ads really hard.
That is a great plan. I'm really excited with like when I heard about you guys partnering with Ember after the AMA we did with them. It was really exciting to kind of see what would come of it. Sorry, JJ, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to get some of these questions flowing from the question chat, because it seems people are really excited to ask some of these questions.
Yeah, sounds good.
Would you, first off, I'll say who it's from, but it's from Ozzy6869. Yes. Would you consider offering more than 100 NFTs for a single property to get the ball rolling?
We would definitely consider it, though. In our white paper, we say very clearly that we're going to have 100 NFTs per property. And so, just to stick with the model we've laid out, we would lean towards definitely sticking with 100 NFTs per property. But that's something that we've always toyed with, especially over time or with more expensive properties. We would want to potentially have more NFTs for that property. I know there's another question I saw later down the line in the AMA questions channel. Somebody asked about expanding to more than just houses, and that is something we actually do want to do. At some point, we want to have commercial properties, apartment complexes, things like that. And obviously, that's a lot more expensive than a single family home or multifamily home. And so at that point, the barrier to entry might be kind of high, even though you only have to be purchasing 100th of that property. And so at that point, we definitely would want to have more than 100 NFTs. So we definitely consider that. And we aren't going to always stick with 100 NFTs per property. But to start out, I think the plan is we'll stick to that. We'll stick to what we laid out in the white paper, 100 NFTs per property.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely super consistent.
Right.
I was going to ask. I was reading one of these questions. It asks, do you guys have any vesting plan for the team? If yes, how will you manage unvested tokens?
Yeah, so the way that our initial token distribution worked is 10% of the total supply was given to the Chain of State DAO core team, which is 100 million tokens. In the version 1 of our token, that was locked for 6 months. For this version 2, because we actually did a V2 migration for a couple of reasons, mostly to get on centralized exchanges. For this version 2, those Chain of State DAO tokens for the team have not been locked. And the biggest reason is we feel like we've gained the trust of the community. And nobody asked for that. Like, we made it clear, like, these tokens, they're not locked now. And people were fine with that. We're thinking, like, if people really want us to lock it, we will. But we do think we've gained the trust of the community. And so we haven't gone down the route of vesting those tokens for the team. But locking them again is something that we would definitely consider doing. But yeah, we have no plans of selling those tokens. They're just there for the long haul. Especially one thing, when we bring more people onto the team, that might be one of the ways we pay those team members is with these tokens. But as it stands right now, we have not used any of them. We have not sold a single one of those tokens for the team.
That's definitely good to know. I have a feeling that most people trust you at this point as well.
Yeah, I would hope so. And we've had a chance to rip everything already. Like, when we did the V2 migration, we had all of the liquidity in our wallet because we had to transport it from the version 1 of the token to the version 2. And so I feel like we've shown that, like, we've had opportunities, but we're really in this for the long haul, and we want what's best for the community. That's why we are a DAO. And so, yeah, we're not going to do anything stupid with the tokens we have.
Mm-hmm. It definitely pays to have a group you can trust behind whatever project. That's one of the biggest things, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, real quick, unless you have another question you wanted to ask, Jojo.
No, go right ahead.
So real quick, I wanted to kind of go over the NFTs. So there's 2 types of NFTs, from my understanding. That as far as I know, there's only going to be 2 types. If I'm wrong, you can let me know. But there's 2 types of NFTs. Do you want to kind of go through what those 2 types are?
Yeah, definitely. You're talking about the revenue generating NFTs?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the revenue generating NFTs are the NFTs that we're currently selling on our marketplace, because obviously we don't have many properties yet to sell property NFTs for. So what these revenue generating NFTs are is it's a way for you to have a stake in the marketplace. So there are 100 of these minted, just like how there'll be 100 property NFTs minted. And each one you own gives you a 1% stake in the revenue that the marketplace gets through listing fees. So when somebody lists an NFT on the secondary marketplace, so if they buy a property NFT and then they sell it later, or if they buy a revenue generating NFT, it's a little meta, but you can make revenue off of people selling the revenue generating NFTs. If they put that on the secondary market, they have to pay a listing fee. Right now, it's 0.23 BNB. That's the listing fee for these revenue generating NFTs. And everybody who owns a revenue generating NFT will get 1/100th of that listing fee when that NFT is listed. And obviously, as this project grows and we are acquiring properties, more and more properties, or more and more NFTs on the marketplace, that means more and more people will be putting them back onto the marketplace to the secondary market, and there'll be more and more listing fees that these revenue generating NFT holders will get a portion of. And so it's definitely a good opportunity for people who think that the project is going to grow and expect us to have a lot of properties and there to be a lot of NFTs put on the secondary marketplace. So that's the revenue generating NFT. And then the property NFT is what we've been talking about mostly, where each of those NFTs will give you a 1% stake in the cash flow from renting out these properties. And that'll be on the same marketplace as the revenue generating NFTs, but obviously they'll be distinguished very clearly on our marketplace, and they have a very different use case.
And will you guys have a very easy way to determine which house goes to which NFT? I assume you will. I'm not sure what you have planned for that. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the plan there is to have the name of the NFT to be the address of.
Okay.
That's one possibility. The other possibility is to give every house an interesting name, like kind of one that we decide on community,
Mm-hmm.
and then the description of the NFT would be the address of the house.
Okay.
So on our marketplace, every single NFT has a name and description. So for the revenue generating NFTs, it's just like revenue generator number 22. And then the description is this NFT represents a 1% stake in the revenue that the marketplace generates through listing fees. And so then for the property NFTs, it could be like whatever name we decide for the house and then the address description.
Gotcha.
I'll make it really clear, like this is that house. And then also the picture of the NFT will be a picture of that house. It'll actually be like a digital artwork that our graphic designer, Sydney, will create of that house.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Can
I was a little worried about that piece.
Yeah, no, it'll be very easy. Don't worry to determine which NFT is which and what it's for.
Can you guys touch up a little bit on how community based you guys are? Because I noticed you guys do a lot of polls and ask for people's opinions, and you want to get to know what the community wants, right? Can you explain a little bit of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good time to talk more about what makes us a DAO, because that's literally a part of our name. So it's important to talk about. So currently, the way that we're a DAO is we just take a lot of community input. We care a lot about what the community says. Like we mentioned already in our AMA that there have been a couple of community members that have brought suggestions to us for things like the new model that we're considering for acquiring properties for the DAO. And then also, we have a polling smart contract deployed on the blockchain that we haven't used yet, but the main use for that will be allowing the community to vote on the blockchain which properties we purchase. So we as the Chain of State DAO core team will gather a list of properties, like somewhere between like 3 to 5 properties that we're considering purchasing for the DAO, because we're going to be doing research with the real estate professional we're partnered with. And so we'll get that list, and then the community members will vote on the blockchain, and the number of votes they have is based off of how many Chain of State tokens they have. So that'll be the first level of like decentralization actually on the blockchain. So not just a poll in our community on Telegram and Discord and Twitter, but actually voting on the blockchain. And then the next model that we want to get to at some point to make our project even more decentralized is we want to have a replacement for the polling smart contract where it'll be a proposal smart contract. So proposal versus polling. In this case, community members can actually make a proposal as to a property that we would acquire, that the DAO would acquire, and then members can vote on that. And so the decision can be made end to end without the Chain of State DAO core team doing anything or proposing anything. And so at that point, the community will decide which properties the DAO acquires. And we're not there yet, and we're not going to start out that way because we need to work with our real estate professional and really figure out what's best for the project before we move to that level of decentralization. But that's the goal that we have in the future.
So with that proposal idea, because I know you guys aren't planning on selling any of the houses, like that's not in the plan. The plan is to continue to increase and have the rent be kind of what moves forward. So will people ever have the ability to propose to sell a house? Because if so, a lot of people will probably be wanting to sell it because the return of investment for selling that NFT is huge.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So there will be voting rights for NFT holders of the home. So they can vote for raising rent, for example. But one thing they will not be able to vote on is selling the home because of what you just described. Mm-hmm. Because we are not selling the NFTs for the price of the home. So if you buy one NFT, you have a 1% stake in the property, but you didn't pay for 1% of the property. Mm-hmm. It would make sense if you were able to buy the NFT, everybody buys an NFT, and then everybody just vote to sell the property immediately because it's an insane return on investment, right? And the DAO loses the property. So it'd be good for you, at least initially, because you get a quick buck, but it'd be bad for the project because we just lost an investment in our portfolio. And then also, even though you made a quick buck, like you're not getting that money over time. And so that's the one. NFT holders will not be able to vote on to selling the property, but they will have voting rights for other aspects. Like I mentioned, raising their rent. If they really think that would work and they'd still be able to keep a renter with the rent raised, then that would be a possibility, just as an example.
Gotcha. Okay. That's a lot safer for sure.
Yeah.
JJ, did you have something?
Someone actually raised their hand. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but
yeah, let me see. Is there anything else you guys want to touch up on before we go into questioning?
I'm good to let people come up on stage if they'd
Awesome.
like.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and we'll pull you up. All right. We'll start off here.
And you can go through the chat too more if you want as well after the people that requested to speak do so.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll
do you want to
we'll hit
pull them
those
up
right
real
after.
quick?
Yeah, I can do that. I sent. Oh, here he is.
There we go.
There we go. Hey, player one.
Hello there. Hey, I start immediately with my question. So I was thinking about the struggle you had getting the volume that was necessary to get the property amount, and at the end of the day, I actually ended up trying to analyzing what is actually unique from your project, and trying to think on a different way where how it could be applied. So I came out with with my thinking that it's not real estate the innovation here. It's everything that comes with accessibility. So low barrier to entry for people to invest in real estate or other people from outside of US being able to buy part of US properties. And also the fact that these houses become liquid assets somehow, right? So there is all this type of innovation, and all of this is kind of a framework what we are creating mixed between a legal side and tech side that allows all of this to be easy to go. So I was thinking, why not apply all this framework that you are building up anyway for the internal project and offer it to, for example, investment funds or big partners that already own real estate assets, and offer them to break down these actual assets in NFTs. No, and with the advantage for them to create some liquid asset out of real estates, and be able also to sell outside of US. So you bring on the table a lot of facilitation for them, and even for owners that are not able to find someone to sell entire house, maybe they may want to break down the house in multiple NFT and sell it with easy of doing. So all of these use cases, why don't try to apply this your framework on some existing situations? Sorry for the long question. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. That's a great question. So, in order for us, if I understand your question correctly, I think like what you're asking, why don't we just kind of go to different people? Like if somebody wants to sell their house, they could go to us, and then we would fractionalize it up and then sell it to different people, and then get a tenant in there. And that would be something that we could definitely do as we grow in size, and of course reputation and just popularity overall. Like right now, I don't know how many people looking to sell homes would be willing to sell it to a crypto backed DAO. Like it would be something that would definitely be more in the future, but yeah, we would definitely do that. It could get us into a lot of opportunities, especially if we're buying all cash. That kind of opens the doors up for a lot of different people that would just want to sell something quick. Like we could be like, oh, yep, we will close on it in a week and you will have your cash and done deal. So yes, that is something that we could definitely expand to. But right now we're more focused on just getting that first property under our belt and then kind of seeing how we can grow from there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, partially. I would like to give a specific case. Why don't you go to some big entities that have, for example, 200 houses in their portfolio, and then maybe they will be happy to diversify, I don't know, 50 of them and breaking down into NFT so they can handle them differently, and make it more liquid. And in exchange for this service you're providing, you will get, for example, 0.5% or 1% of the the house value in NFT. So you will raise some money out of it, and then with this money for your service, you could use to buy the first property, for example.
I mean, I think that's definitely a suggestion worth considering. I think the biggest barrier to do something like that is people just don't understand this kind of model yet. Like, I like to say that we're revolutionary in the sense that we're doing something that hasn't really been done before. And therefore, it takes time for this sort of thing to be adopted and for people to accept it, for some corporation with 200 properties to see the value in what we might propose to them if we were to do what you're suggesting, which, by the way, since, obviously Zach and I, we understand the value of this, that's why we're doing it. But other people might not, or at least not yet. But I do think that would be something worth pursuing in the future for sure.
Okay. Last thing is, if you manage the actual incognito part of all of your project is this framework. So at the moment you manage to apply even to an existing house, the real estate that doesn't belong to you necessarily, and then you prove the effectiveness of this solution, this framework on the legal side and on the smart contract side, then it would be really brainless to believe in the project, because it's just a matter of buying properties, nothing special.
Yeah.
The framework is proven.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, there's a benefit to doing it early if we can, because it'll just prove the concept. I see what you're saying.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. And maybe we'll look into that more and see if there's some sort of organization we could reach out to, or group of people we could reach out to. It'd be hard to find from what I can imagine, but definitely would be worth it because they have huge benefits like you're describing.
I think that was actually a really great question.
That was a great question.
Great couple of ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, maybe we can organize some time a private chat with this kind of things. I have a few of them, a few ideas around this model.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate your suggestions.
All right. Maybe
yeah, do you mind moving him back?
Yes.
I think he's able to do that on his own, but
Okay.
I can try to figure out how to do that.
Perfect. Oh,
Perfect.
is there anyone else that does have any questions? If you do, feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you on, or you guys can continue to ask questions in the AMA questions chat.
There's a couple we still have to answer.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Do you want to go through them?
I can ask one. Yeah. Pratba asked, if I bought an NFT, how long would it take time to make money from that NFT? I'm not sure if they're talking about one of the real estate NFTs or
The
the
revenue
transaction
generating
ones. Yep.
Yeah. So revenue generating, it's really hard for us to say because there's no way for us to predict what our volume is going to look like for the NFTs on the secondary market over time. So it's hard to say. But like I said, if you believe that this project will be successful and we'll start acquiring properties, then it is definitely a good investment. So I know that that's not giving like a ton of information, because it's like if you think the project's successful, then of course you would want to invest in the different ways you can. But like if we were to start acquiring a few properties and people were selling the NFTs on the secondary market for these properties every week, it would be a good return on investment. Like you would make your money back fast if we got that fast. For the property NFTs, our goal is a 25% ROI, at least with our initial model that we want to stick with for the long haul. And so it would take 4 years to get your investment back, and then everything after that would be profit. And there's no maintenance fees like there are for maintenance on nodes and some projects or things like that. So it'd just be pure profit. And then also with that 4 years, you have to consider what that doesn't consider. It doesn't take into account the fact that rent goes up, home value goes up, and you could also sell the NFT for more on the secondary market at some point as the project grows. And so you could get immediate profit that way as well.
Yeah, it sounds like there's the decent few ways to be making profit off of it.
Lots of utility for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Another question from Tolgauzek. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, but they asked, are there any disruptive futuristic plans to enter into an area of giant traditional real estate companies like Coldwell Banker, etc.?
Could you kind of elaborate on that question a little bit? And then we can get back to him.
Yeah, we'll do that. He's elaborating currently.
Okay.
It seems like. Sorry, I cut you off, but
I think maybe what
continue.
you're getting at, I'll just kind of start talking as he's typing. Maybe he's talking about like almost what player one was saying, or actually he requested to speak, so let's just let him on.
Yep.
I don't want to speculate if you.
Why don't you pull him up?
Oh yeah, you're invited to speak.
Hi guys. Yes, actually, this is better.
Yeah.
So, from Turkey, this, for example, I asked that question from, we have different way of real estate. The many countries have different way. We know some companies like Coldwell Banker, etc. here in Turkey too. That's why, for example, like I see on roadmap, you will establish a team becoming from real estate professionals, right?
Yeah.
Will the project convert into something, in the physical way, something like, I am exaggerating, right? A chain banker, for example, something else, into more physical, like those giants.
We don't have any plans to become like an actual bank, giving out mortgages and all the different services that banks offer. Although, or at least in a physical sense, I should say. Although we do plan on, once we do have, let's say we have like $10 million of real estate in the portfolio, and those real estate assets are just kind of sitting there, right? Like they're generating cash flow, but that equity in the property isn't actually being leveraged in any way. Well, what we can do is use those properties as collateral and have loans that we can give out to our people that want to have a loan through the chain of state ecosystem. And that would allow us to get an interest rate on our assets that are just kind of sitting idle in a sense. So there's that plan where we're going to incorporate lending once it makes sense and we have enough real estate to kind of back all of those loans. But outside of that, like becoming a physical bank, we do not intend, at least right now, we don't intend to do that.
My point, actually, maybe you don't know that company, Coldwell Banker. I think they are global thing, or let's say a global real estate agencies instead of the name of the Coldwell Banker. Let's say, there are many global companies, global real estate agencies. Operating in Europe, in USA, in Turkey. Actually, I meant that, but thank you for the answer. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, of course. We can definitely eventually expand to other countries. I do believe that is in the roadmap. So yes, not just United States real estate. So we can expand to countries like I think our first stop would be something like Canada, United Kingdom, or Australia, and then kind of keep branching out from there. But there's a lot of different aspects that have to go into play when considering going into other countries too. So that's still probably a little ways out in the roadmap, but it's definitely a possibility.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Thanks for asking that question. There's actually a pretty interesting question coming from Vegan Dad, but it goes back to the names on the property NFTs. He made a statement and said, for privacy issues, I think a unique name would be better than an address. And he said, my thought was, as a renter, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable knowing that 100 people had my address. Maybe just my paranoid side coming out.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair concern, though. I don't think that anybody's gonna know. Like none of the NFT holders are gonna know the name of the person that's renting it. So it's just gonna be another address. Like I can just go on Google Maps and find a random address if I wanted to, and like, but that doesn't mean I know the person, if that makes sense. So like, for all intents and purposes, the person who's renting out the property from the DAO is going to be anonymous to everybody except the Chain of State DAO core team. And so, like, again, for all intents and purposes, it's just another anonymous person living in this neighborhood that you could just find on Google Maps if you really wanted to. And I think it's important to have the address just to help legitimize, the property that the DAO has, to show that, like, this is the property we have. You can go and look up the value. You can verify that exactly what we took out of the real estate, while like what we had available from what we took was actually what was used to purchase the property, and that kind of thing just helps make the project more valid. So I think it's important to have that address available. So I get your concern, but I hope what I'm saying helps address that.
Yeah, another thing to mention, there is a project that does kind of tokenize real estate. They don't have a secondary marketplace or any like tokenomics or even a tradable token, if that, but they do also list all of the property information, including the address, because it is public information. It does verify that they own the property, and I don't believe that they have had any issues, like privacy issues, with that. So if that is something that does become of a concern, we can definitely have a like a special name for the properties, but we don't foresee that being a concern. But obviously, like I said, if it is a concern and becomes a problem, then we can adapt to solve that problem.
I may be wrong, but I believe that property owners is public information. Like the owner of properties are like the information is available to the public.
Yeah, real estate transactions in the United States are all information.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything, Jojo? Anything else that? All right, we have Canner right here. Do you want to invite him to stage?
Yeah, let me do that. Okay, I sent the invite.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. So, first of all, it is very nice to see that you are all doxed, and I like to check LinkedIn profiles, and so I had a chance to see that event by Cognitive Corporation you joined. It was a very nice event, actually. So I was going to ask previously about regions, but previous person asked that, Tolga, I think. But
Okay.
I wonder if you guys are going to figure out something hype or something going wider, like Labs Group have done with NFT-based hotel in Southeast Asia, if you know what I am talking about.
Could you elaborate a little bit more? I don't think I quite know what you're referring to.
I mean, the Labs Group had a project of a hotel in Southeast Asia. I think it's a good example of what you can also achieve, something similar or not following its footsteps, but it might bring something hype and something wider in this area about also NFT fractionalization, and it was something similar to your project. That's why I wanted to ask.
Oh, you're saying if we could like expand to fractionalize the ownership of a hotel or something as a type of
Yeah, it is. It was something like that, and it brought very much attention from the crypto space because it was something first thought of, and hotel in South Asia, just like the previous person asked, fractionalized houses and renting, all selling it, and a lot of people showed attention to that. So since since this is something you can also manage, I think, because it's almost similar projects.
Yeah.
And with some such a very hype, very wider project, eventually people will know more about your project, and it can also make it easier for you to expand. That's why I wanted to bring this to your attention.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we, like I think we mentioned earlier, we definitely do want to expand to other types of properties like commercial or apartment complexes, and hotels could definitely be one of them too. So I appreciate bringing that up.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Because perhaps it's easier to not follow in exactly what they did, but when there's some project that is successful, it already managed that, it might give you more power and to overcome the difficulties that they faced, and you might just shortcut through them. So it might be useful. Okay, thanks. That's all I have to say. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. That'd be a very interesting concept, bringing hotels into it as well. Obviously, there's a lot more on the management side of things, but that would be interesting in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be more complicated for sure. We're going into it, but that could be cool.
All right. So do we have any other questions?
There's one more question coming in. So this might wrap it. I'm not sure if they're gonna finish. It said they were typing, but this might wrap it up after this question, if it does come in.
And we can always just answer it after as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we'll still be looking at the chat after, and we can answer questions.
So for right now, I actually do want to take it real quick, and we can start to bring this conversation to a close. We will be giving out I'm sorry, can you guys go over exactly what you are giving out real quick?
Yeah, so we are giving out 2 people are going to get 150,000 chain of state tokens, or 300,000 tokens total. Those are going to 2 random members in the audience. I actually do have all of these people written down for the winners. And then we're also giving out 5 whitelist spots for the first property NFTs. So I already have the winners written down, and we will announce that in general chat afterwards.
Okay. Awesome.
But,
so we'll be giving those out. And then also, I just wanted to say one of the biggest things that kind of brought me to you guys and like how we started talking, Zach, is the fact that you guys are doxed and very open with the community. So if you guys haven't joined the community, make sure you guys go check out the links. We'll have those posted if they aren't already. But
I believe someone sent it in the general chat. If you guys want to join the Chain of State Discord, go check that out.
Yes, that'll be perfect. Just because the community there is amazing, and anyone looking for any type of long-term investment with real estate and bringing crypto into that, this is going to be one of the bigger projects starting up. Just because it's innovative. There isn't really anything out there that's quite hitting the market like they are. So go check it out. And then any closing thoughts you guys have, Cole and Zach?
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys taking all your time to join the AMA. I cannot stress it enough. The community that we have is phenomenal, and we appreciate you guys. You guys are offering suggestions, and everybody's so willing to help if we need to call on the community to help, and it's just a phenomenal community to be a part of. And I just feel really honored to have you guys as a community. So, Cole, anything else you'd like to say?
Beautifully put.
There's not a better way to end, so I'm gonna leave it on that note.
Legend.